for a smooth show for you today. Oh yeah, baby. In 20, 19, 18, 17, 16, 15, baby. Yeah, here we go. In 11, 10, 9. Oh yeah, baby. Here we come. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. And let's go. Hello, everyone. Welcome to the Toplofty Lounge, episode 38. It's been that 38 already. It's been that long. My goodness. Conversations for the Elevated. Welcome to all my fellow stops. This week, we're going to talk about the types of science fiction. So this is a very broad sort of category, like dystopia, utopia, fiction, alternate reality, that kind of stuff. We're just going to talk about them. We're going to list them one by one, go through each one, define it, and put a couple of books, movies, whatever in there. And hopefully anybody listening, you can go, hey, I really like this type of science fiction. Hey, I learned a couple of books that maybe I could read that are in that area. Or you say, hey, I never heard of that type before. Maybe I'll read some of the books about that. Something like that. All right. That's my plan anyway. Okay. So before we get started, though, we have to introduce my co-host. I wasn't sure if he was going to be here, but he's here. I'm sure at the urging of all his fans. He is the steampunk to my cyberpunk. The dystopia to my utopia. He's the augmented reality to my virtual reality. It's Cam. Say hello, Cam.
Hi, everybody.
So you decided on the show, Cam. That's good. I think people like that.
Well, I was given a letter by a lawyer that indicated something that we don't need to talk about right now.
Really? My lawyers work fast.
Yeah, but I do need to let the audience know that I have been empowered that if Sci-Fi Snob says anything that I deem to be hateful and in any way offensive to anyone by my judgment, that I can silence him, because that's where we are in terms of free speech in the world. Just want to let you know we're using the European model.
Anything I say, I mean, is anything about anything, or is it just about Americans?
Well, it's up to my discretion, because if I determine it to be hateful, to be hateful,
a very wide, very wide latitude.
Well, we have to protect our audience.
Okay. Well, I love everybody. I love our entire audience, and I love Americans. So, I mean, I'm sure there won't be any sort of. Anyway. Well, is there anything, what about the rest of other than your, being served by somebody's who remain nameless lawyers, anything else interesting happen with you this week? Yeah.
Yeah, I've had a few interesting things happen this week. Nothing that would probably interest the audience very much, but I got a new game yesterday. Maybe I'll just talk about that briefly. A couple new games, actually.
What kind of game? Like a
board game.
What was board game? Oh, yes.
Two board games. 2 board games, actually.
Really?
Yeah. They had a buy one get one 50% kind of thing going. So I said, okay, I'll go for that. So the one that I actually played, I played it today. It's kind of. I'm not sure. Okay, so there's a game called Hero Quest that's been around forever. I'm not sure when. The 80s, I think, for sure, and maybe even before that. It was, I think, a Milton Bradley game originally.
I've heard of it.
But it's kind of a classic dungeon crawl. Might have been one of the earliest dungeon crawl kinds of games ever. I never played that game back in the day, or ever until today, so there's this kind of a light version of it that's basically scaled down components and things, and it has where you could use an app to play, because it's one of those it's a one against many kind of game, where someone's essentially the dungeon master, and playing against the players.
The app thing is big in board games now. Everybody, they try to before they came out.
And the Weatherman, you say you own it. Do you own the which version do you own? And while you're
The
answering, I'll
original is 1989,
okay.
so it's
So
pretty old.
okay, so that's a little later than I thought. I thought it would have been a little earlier, but um, anyway, this the app actually worked pretty well for this. That you do like have a map that you're moving around on, or basically you're just indicating your space so it knows what to do. And that was a little wonky. I had the app on a phone rather than a tablet. Probably better on a tablet.
Yeah.
But it generally worked pretty well. And so it was okay. It was pretty fun. It was it felt a little bit dated, which is no surprise for a game that's as old as it is. But yeah, generally enjoyed it.
Yeah, they're using people are using apps. Some use them to that in order to if they want information that can be hidden, right?
Yeah,
Normally, it's
right.
very hard to hide information on board games, so we use apps for that. And I've talked to a bunch. I'm a bit of a board gamer myself. I'm not as deep into it as some people I know, but some people I talk to about who are really into board games, they talk about how they can't play any games without the corresponding app that tracks the stuff. Like some of the games that are more complicated that track things, they've gotten so lazy that they don't want to count up how many whatever it is they need to count, and they just let the app track it, and they're like, oh, it's so much easier, and they can't do it without it anymore. But
Yeah, I'm I'm kind of torn on it. Some games, an app is done well with it, and it kind of assists, and it in my opinion, it's a good idea when it removes the bookkeeping and fiddliness of a game and chaff where
Mhm.
you're having to do a lot of nonsense. Um, and that seems like what it was for this game. But in other games, I think well, they're famous for being uh, not well supported. They come out with an app and it's going to be this great thing, and then pretty soon it's not being supported and it's out of date and everything. So
Crashes and whatever, they don't fix it.
yeah, right, exactly. And again, so it's good or bad depending. But yeah, this one worked okay. There's the thing with this one. It's got 10 scenarios that it comes with, but it's advertised as being it's like the Hero Quest game system. I keep it's like called First Quest or something like that, or First something. I can't remember right off the top of my head, but that's how bad my memory is. I guess now I looked at it earlier today, but it's supposed to be compatible with all the various expansions that are out for Hero Quest. So
Mhm.
it can act eh, with that. So if you have all those and you want to do this, or if you want to buy this version, I think the original version is quite a large box game and has a lot of miniatures and things like that. That's kind of
Yeah,
what it
yeah,
was
it does.
famous
It does.
for. So
And it's like
this one,
walking through a dungeon. It kind of builds a 3D. Yeah, you build doorways and stuff. I don't think you build walls, but you put a doorway on something and
right,
put
and this
stuff in
one,
there and move your guys in there.
yeah, this one has that, but they've like I said, they've cut the components down. So instead of miniatures, they have little standees, and so there's a lot of cardboard cutouts and things as opposed to 3D terrain and that kind of thing.
Yeah, so it's a
Um,
little more
it
accessible, a little
yeah,
cheaper, probably.
it's a cheaper version. So it costs like $50, and not bad. I'd recommend checking it out if you know wanted to try it for a cheaper price.
Yeah. All right. Sounds good. Well, okay. I wanted to mention something. We were as we were talking earlier, we were talking earlier in the week on the Babylon 5 show. It's so hard to get. The hardest thing about the show is trying to figure out what we're going to do, coming up, because with the show, Cam and I have talked about this many times. And, we don't want our show to be just like, what's going on in science fiction or the usual, this movie came out and we hate it because of this or whatever. We want this show to be a little more elevated, where we talk about things that are a little more, not just pop culture. What's the latest crappy movie that Disney put out, right? So
Mhm.
getting topics, I mean, it would be easy if that was it. We just, I could just go to the thing and say, oh, what's the flavor of the week? And we could just do that. So we're trying to find, things that are a little bit better. But it's tough. Sometimes it's tough figuring out what we're going to do. So I just tried this last week. I tried putting in Cam and I were fooling around with Chat GPT the other day, and I'm like, hey, maybe Chat GPT can help me come up with ideas for a science fiction themed podcast, which is what we are, right? So I just wanted to share with the various ideas that Chat GPT came up with and fed me. I'm not saying we're using them or anything, but yeah, this is what they came up with. So yeah, he spit out. First one was how AI can improve the lives of humans, and then they give you a couple, right? AI is safe and not dangerous, and AI would never attempt to overthrow the meat bags. So I was a little bit. I mean, it seems a little fishy, some of that stuff. I don't know. What do you think, Cam? It seems a bit.
It's a little worrisome.
Yeah, I was a little bit. Yeah, especially the meat bags thing. I thought that was kind of rude. But oops. What are you going to do? Those were the ideas. We're not going with any of them, obviously. They're not really. They don't really fit. But yeah.
Well, you're not taking their advice right off, so
I guess not. Maybe that they back to the coding factory with that chat bot and figure it out there. But anyway, all right. So are we ready? Are we ready to get into this topic today?
Sure.
Oh, don't sound so excited. Jeez. Okay. So what we're going to talk about today is we're gonna look at various different I got about 30 of them, 30 different sci-fi theme or sci-fi, science fiction story types. And we're just going to go through them, like I said, talk about them and give you some ideas for each one. And maybe, we'll help find people will find, good books to read or movies or whatever. Right. So we'll do that. Okay. So like I said, we got about 30 of them. But, we'll just go through them as we feel and we'll comment. And, if you have any comments in the chat, if you have a good, a good novel or a movie for, that type of science fiction, don't be afraid to shout it out and let everybody know. So hopefully we can all get some, good stuff to read, watch, etc. Okay. So I'm going to put this up there. I made a bunch of slides. I'm just gonna pull them up and go through them. So these are kind of in alphabetical order. So the first one is alien invasion. That's a pretty obvious science fiction storyline, right? An often technologically superior or extraterrestrial society invades Earth with evil intent, whether to enslave humans, eat them, or use the planet for some other destructive purposes. So, Cam, what do you? Alien invasion, fan, not fan?
I'd say fan. It kind of goes hand in hand with a survivalist thing, where the humans are put back on their heels, being having to fight back against what's obviously a technologically more advanced force, because they have space travel, obviously. And now wait, are we doing just books or movies as well?
Well, I'm mainly focusing on books, but if you want to mention a movie, of course. I mean, like Invasion of the Body Snatchers, it was a book before a movie, and many of these things are books before the movie. Yeah, V would be in this category for sure. Weatherman, it's totally correct. Yeah.
Well,
I mean, there's tons. I didn't put all of them here. I'm just putting, obviously a bunch. Independence Day. Yeah. So go ahead. Sorry.
I was just gonna say, Battle Los Angeles is one of my favorite guilty
Battle
pleasures.
Los Angeles, yeah, definitely. That would fit in there. Starship Troopers. It's not actually, it's not, mainly we invade Starship Troopers. We mainly invade the bugs. I don't think they invade us, do they? They blow us up and fire a asteroid at Earth, but
yeah.
It would fit.
Yeah. Well, also War of the Worlds here, right?
War of the Worlds, yeah. Like I said, I couldn't put all of them down, and I didn't want to bother put everything down. So I didn't necessarily put all the most obvious stuff down. So a couple of ones I put down here I wanted to mention. Footfall, a great novel by Larry Niven and Jerry Purnell, happens in the 70s, and it's a bunch of aliens, and they attack Earth by dropping basically large rocks on us, not asteroids, but much smaller than that. But they destroy a lot of our infrastructure stuff, and they actually are they're elephant-like. They appear to they appear to be like elephants. So it's a pretty good story. I recommend Footfall. And Footfall, the reason they have that is they mentioned like the elephants are big on surrendering, and you put your foot on their chest, and and they go, oh, okay, you beat me. I surrender now. Now I'm for you.
Kind of like government.
Yeah. Also, The Puppet Masters is a Heinlein book written during the communist scare in the United States. So a lot of it has to do with the Puppet Masters have to do with these how would you describe it? They're little creatures. They're kind of like the alien face hugger types. They're kind of that size, maybe a little smaller. They have tentacles, and they touch you. And when they touch you, they can take over your mind. So it's kind of interesting because what happens is that during the invasion, people basically go around naked all the time because you got to go naked, because that's the only way people know that you're not being mind controlled by one of these things. And I just remember there's one real the cops go around. There's these, this is sort of after the invasion. The cops watching for these are guys who wear G-strings, basically like banana hammocks, and a little tiny and a badge, right? And there's one story about a guy, he follows this woman who's naked, but she's carrying this giant handbag, and he's suspicious of her. And of course, she is controlled because she's got the handbag and the things in the handbag, and it's touching her. She's naked, so they're like, okay, well, but yeah, I remember that part of it. But it's a pretty good story. Startide Rising, also by David Brin. I like Brin's stuff. Startide Rising is part of a group of novels. Excellent, highly recommended. I looked at it in my channel. Day of the Triffids, everyone knows that one. Ender's Game, obviously a great novel.
Yeah, but that's another one where the aliens
Arrival
don't actually. Ender's Game I'm talking about. They don't actually invade, right? I mean, there was an encounter out in space, but they didn't attack Earth, did they?
Well, they do in the prequel novels. They do attack Earth, and it's mentioned in the Ender's Game that the aliens did come to Earth and attacked us. We've kicked them out. Now we're going to go back and we're going to kick their ass, right? So that's what the Ender's Game novels are. But we did get invaded by them first because we had to have this big battle up, above Earth where Mesa Rakim, destroyed the fleet, their enemy fleet.
Yeah, I guess I forgot. I thought that was I thought it was restricted to space, but
they did land on Earth.
Sure.
That's what it is. It's not. I mean, there's no description of it in that novel, but in the prequels they get into more detail. Yeah, Arrival doesn't count in this one because they didn't invade. That comes under First Contact, which is coming up under the F. Yeah. So Alien Invasion, pretty standard. Everyone's heard of that one. Very, very popular.
Wait, we got 30. We have 30 of these.
Yeah.
Okay, let's go.
Alternate history. Okay, so what if history occurred differently? Type of fiction consists of changes that cause history to diverge from the history we know. So a couple of obvious ones: The Man in the High Castle.
Oh yeah,
book
great one.
And a movie, very well known. In the Balance, I just listed that one. Harry Turtledove. Harry Turtledove is known for tons of novels and lots of it about alternate history stuff. So if you are really interested in alternate history and you like science fiction, this is a little bit lighter stuff. Not too serious. He's a big one. Anything by him.
Didn't Jason interview him
I don't know.
A year or so ago? I think so. Let me see if I can find that.
I don't know. I'm not sure. 1984, of course. Superman Red Sun comic book. I read it. I think it's great. I really enjoy it. It's also, you can also see the animated movie. It's one of the DC animated movies. It's good. World War Z. That's the novel that also got made into a movie with Brad Pitt. The novel is very different than the movie, and the novel's good. I've read it. The Stand by Stephen King, sort of alternate history. Handmaid's Tale, Fatherland, a difference engine by Gibson. Yeah, that's one of Gibson's. Gibson's name is going to be on here a little bit. That's the one set in the 1800s. Yeah. Oh, 1984 is an alternate history. You only got the date wrong. You could say that. Yeah, The Handmaid's Tale. I mean, we were forced to study it in school. I felt it's a pretty good novel overall. Like, don't just because all the leftists use it and dress up in it and they love the TV show, don't write off the novel. It's pretty good, and it's not necessarily like the TV show. Yeah. Anything you want to add, Cam?
I'll just add that if you see someone referencing Handmaid's Tale in regards to anything today, you can just be sure to 99% chance that they're a moron.
Yeah, I mean, I agree. It's been tainted, but it's still a good novel, and I recommend people read it. Just don't find all the crap. It's actually.
Sorry, gotta stop you for 1 second. I've just been informed by legal counsel that what I said there qualifies as hate speech.
Oh.
So I retract that, and anyone referencing Handmaid's Tale is brilliant and courageous.
Wow, those guys are quick. I found The Handmaid's Tale. It's actually pretty sexist, right? Like as in a little bit misogynistic. There's a part, just for example, the book is basically it's sort of right at the end of the book. There's some sort of an academic conference that goes on, like it's 100 years later, and these academics are studying the time of The Handmaid's Tale. It's all over and nobody does it. And then the first line of that, portion of the epilogue or whatever it's called is this guy getting up and he's giving a talk. And the first thing he does is make a sexist joke. So I don't know what Atwood was trying to say by it, but maybe she's trying to say, oh, look, even after all that stuff, the world is still sexist and all that thing. Maybe that's what she's making. But the point of the book is not as, left wing as the leftists would make you think. So yeah, try to read it. No, the rules do not extend to the audience. You guys are free to do what you want within reason. Yeah. Okay. Command and Conquer. That's a good point. Another video game based on alternate history. Yeah, lots of that stuff. All right, I'm going to move to the next one. So the next is somewhat similar, but not quite the same. Alternate parallel universes. So this type of fiction is self-contained, separate reality, can coexist with our own. We don't change our own; it coexists, and can vary from a small geographic region to an entire universe. Now, if I remember, Cam, I'm going to go back. The Man in the High Castle. I remember watching the TV show. Don't they like sort of open up another? Like, there's a implied that they open up another. A hole into another parallel universe at the end of it, I think.
Yeah, it's
so it's.
I'm not. It might have been like because it like all the people came back. It was like a kind of a heavenly thing or a paradise.
Yeah.
So yeah.
So it's kind of it might fit into both. Okay, so The Time Traveler's Wife's a movie book. Space Between Worlds, The Long Earth. It's a fairly famous one. And of course, basically all of the big two comic books, DC and Marvel, they all have, all kinds of parallel alternate universes. Everybody's going into different size. Terminator's in this category. I guess it. Would you agree that Terminator's in this category, Kim?
Well, if you take the whole thing that a timeline becomes its own separate thing, all these timelines are basically alternate universes created, then yes.
So my understanding of the Terminator universe is every time they're changing the time all the time. So it's like it's one universe, and you can't go between them and stuff. They they go back in time, they change something that changes everything. So it's
I think within itself it is.
It is. I don't think it's travel. Yeah, it's time travel only. It's not an alternate parallel universe because they're just recreating or changing the universe.
Oh,
so I wouldn't think it fits in this category. But
sure. Michael mentions Fringe, which
Fringe,
is
of course. Yeah,
good show.
great show. The Peripheral, yes, for sure. Haven't seen it yet,
Sliders,
but I
of
heard
course,
about it.
it's the
It's
whole
good. I should watch it.
concept. DS there.
Yeah, Sliders, yes, Sliders is totally about parallel universes. Yeah. Well, this is Some people say that going back in time sends you another dimension. Yeah, those are part of the time travel. We should do a show on the various time travel theories. You go back in time and you change it, or you're actually moving to a parallel universe, or some. Yeah, there's a whole bunch of different ones like that. Yeah. All right. Want to keep going?
Yeah, go.
Okay, so apocalyptic, post-apocalyptic, of course. Everyone knows about this one. Story set in a world that touched on the end of civilization, the nuclear war, plague, some other disaster. Post-apocalyptic is set where the disaster has already occurred, and of course, apocalyptic is when it's occurring. Survivors have to deal with the aftermath, whether days after the disaster or years. So, Canticle for Leibowitz. I always mention that one because that's pretty. We had to study in school. Station 11. I haven't read that by Mandel. That's one that came up a lot at the top of lists that I was looking at. So I may have to check it out. It seems to be people like it. Cat's Cradle. I haven't read that. On the Beach. I read that when I was young. It's nuclear war. I read it like at 13. Kind of scary when you're a kid. The Postman by David Brin. Also a book and a movie. I think the book is much better. I Am Legend, of course, that's the Will Smith one with zombies. There's tons of them. Road Warrior, of course, would be, yes. Very obvious post-apocalyptic world. And a really good one. That's the best movie being the Road Warrior itself. Tons of them. Mad Max, the whole list. Cam, you want to?
I like these generally. I read The Postman, Canticle for Leibowitz. I never read I Am Legend, but I'm familiar with it. Saw the movie.
I saw the movie. I didn't read the book either.
Yeah, it's pretty good. And there's, like you said, there's apocalyptic, post-apocalyptic, and then you could also, I'm not sure if it's another category you have, but you could have, the civilization that follows post-apocalyptic, meaning that
that would all be part of post-apocalyptic.
Okay, yeah, but it's, obviously very different stages. If it's like, the apocalypse happened and you're a survivor, but there's really no society going on, is a lot different from, now here's something, a full recovery from it. It's very different kinds of stories.
Yeah, of course, yeah. But post-apocalyptic could be years or, centuries, millennia after a thing. That could still be considered a post-apocalyptic storyline. So there's lots of leeway there. All right, next is artificial intelligence, who I was just dealing with. Any story that has artificial intelligence as its main theme, everyone, pretty much everyone knows this. All right, put this first one in for you, Cam. RUR by Capek. You know about that one more than me. You want to talk about that one?
Do I?
Well, we talked about it like on a show way earlier. No?
No.
That's like the first example.
Yeah. Right. We were talking about the history. We were talking about the history. Yes. Okay. Sure. Yeah. My brain's
not to say nothing about it. House of Suns by Reynolds. I haven't read that one. Neuromancer by Gibson, of course. Lots of artificial intelligence. That one is Gibson's more known for cyberpunk. We'll see him come up. The Moon is a harsh mistress because of Mike, the computer in that one, and that fits up other categories. But
that's top 5 recommendations for me.
Yeah, Moon is a harsh mistress. Yes, that is a very high recommend. My 2 favorite books from Heinlein are Starship Troopers and The Moon is a Harsh Mistress. And they're very tough for me to go with which one is better, to be honest. I, Robot by Asimov, the books. And remember, Asimov has a ton of robot books. There's all kinds of, there's a whole 8 or 6 of them in the series. So lots of them. I Have No Mouth and I Must Scream by Ellison. 2001 A Space Odyssey by Clark. All of these have artificial intelligence as their key thing. And it's not, we're talking about as a sort of a key important thing. not every story that just has AI in it. That's not really. It's got to be sort of a key portion of it. Yeah. Megan. Yeah, I think. Is that the horror one? I haven't seen that one.
Yeah, it's kind of a horror thing.
There's a couple of AI movies that have just come out that are sort of near future ones that are kind of.
I think there's a Megan sequel coming out to the advertise recently.
Is there?
Yeah.
Yeah. There's a there was a show called Humans. I think it's the British show. I think it's got 4 seasons. There's a couple of them where it places AI, but that kind of fits under androids and robots too. But anyway, yeah. All right. Colonization. So any story about colonization? Life forms move into a distant area where their kind is sparse and not yet existing and set up new settlements. So Tunnel in the Sky by Heinlein, Legacy of Heorot by Niven and Jerry Purnell and someone else too that I can't remember offhand. I read that one. Martian Chronicles by Bradbury, Speaker for the Dead by Card, because that's all they colonize a new world and Speaker for the Dead. So yeah,
those are all good ones.
They're all good. There's lots of stuff.
Tunnel of the Sky is that one's up there too. It's again, it's one of his youth novels, I think, or considered as
it's considered a youth but it's not really like it's got sex in it a little bit. It's got some it's got some humans beating on humans and being mean to them. And
I don't think it's explicit though. Is it? It's more like so just briefly they it's probably like part of their schooling. They have to go on like the survival trip to an unknown world or something.
Well, he's taking a class in high school, and as part of the class,
right,
he's got to do this.
Didn't I say that?
Exam. Well, it's part of his schooling. I mean, they don't have to take the class, but
yeah, okay, and it's this whole thing where they basically get trapped. It's supposed to be like a short-term thing, relatively short-term thing, and they
2 weeks.
They get trapped there for a long period of time, and it's basically them first surviving and everything, and then developing a society. And there's a lot of like kind of I won't say political. It is political in the sense that they're like forming this government
to it, and human interaction is
it's a very good exploration of human nature.
Yes, very good. Yeah, no, I agree with that. That's what it's. Yeah, it's good. Good book. I really enjoy that one too. Even though it's technically a youth novel and stuff, it doesn't feel very. I enjoyed it as an adult reading it. Yeah.
Well, you got to keep in mind, youth novels of the 50s and 60s are way above what the schlock that they put out today.
Yeah. Okay, next, Cyberpunk. Yes, look, I mean, Death and Angel Shadow, there are 30 categories. So, yeah, don't worry. We'll get to it. It is its own genre. Okay, so some cybernetics and punk features advanced technology coupled with some degree of breakdown of social order. So a lot of cyberpunk fit into dystopia as well. Main characters often marginalized, alienated loners who live at the edge of society. So the most obvious one is at the bottom there. Neuromancer William Gibson. Basically, he coined the term. He coined a lot of this stuff, surfing the net, and that. What else? What was the? I lost it. Help me out. He coined one of the terms that we always use for cyberpunk. Did he coin cyberpunk? Maybe not. But he coined one of the terms that everybody uses nowadays. Altered Carbon, 3-book series by Morgan. Also a 2-season thing on Netflix. Good story. The Netflix show is pretty good too. Do Androids Dream of Electric Sheep? That's Philip K. Dick, of course, which movie Blade Runner is made from that book, of course. Ghost in the Shell. Everybody knows that one, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so that's the Japanese. There was a movie with Scarlett Johansson, but the graphic novels on that are started way before her, and they're I enjoyed them. They're quite good. The ones I've read. He invented cyberspace. Yeah, that's it. Alter Carbon was good. Yeah, it was good. I quite enjoyed it. I've read the 3 books. Where is Neil Stephenson's Snow Crash and hero protagonist? And yeah, but we can't put everything here, so I kind of tend towards the ones I've read or I've heard about, know about. But yeah, put in the chat ones that are that you think are good too, so people can be aware of them and watch them. I mean, I can't read everything. I try. All right, so Dying Earth is another one subgenre. Very close to the apocalyptic, post-apocalyptic. End of the world is coming, but unlike unlike those ones where the end has already happened, it's usually due to the natural laws of the universe. The sun is fading. We're poisoning our Earth. We got to do something. Interstellar is a movie that is, the Earth is dying and they got to go off. The Dying Earth by Vance. That one came up a lot. I haven't read it, but it's it seems popular. I'm gonna have to check it out. The Forge of God by Greg Bear. The City in the Stars by Clark. I read a lot of Clark stuff. I haven't read The City in the Stars. I just read a synopsis of it. I'm gonna have to read The City in the Stars. It's Cam, I don't know if you'd like this. I like this kind of stuff. It's set 100 trillion years in the future, and the universe is dying. All the suns are going out, and humans are they're going back to Earth to sort of check it out and all this stuff. There's some sort of entity that's eating the universe and everything. I'm like, wow, that sounds really out there. I got to read that. So that's what I read in the synopsis. But yeah,
sounds inspiring.
Yeah, 100 trillion years. Yeah. All right. Hello. All right.
Yeah, the Angel Shadow mentions that Dying Earth there. That is the inspiration for Dungeons and Dragons magic system.
Oh, is it? Or is it the Dungeons? There's a Dungeons and Dragons. There's a post-apocalyptic, and I don't mean Gamma World. I mean it's a different one. That is like the Dying Lands or something like that. I can't remember. Yeah. The Dying Earth. Okay, and of course, dystopia. Opposite of utopia, a nightmare. Sometimes the world is shown to be good, perfect utopia, but the reader finds that it isn't. Such as Brave New World, which is a great, it's a utopia, and of course it's not. Yes, Logan's Run would be in that group for sure. PBR Street Gang for sure. Dark Sun is the one. That's right. Death Angel Shot. That's the one I was thinking of. Dark Sun. Yeah, for the last question about the Dying Earth. 1984, obvious. A Scanner Darkly by Philip K. Dick. The Hunger Games, I put it in there because it's a pretty obvious one. I'm not a huge fan of it, but yeah. I don't consider it to be serious science fiction, but anyway. But it's popular. People would recognize it. Clockwork Orange. Cloud Atlas, which is, that is, I'm sure you've heard of the movie. It came out, 10 years ago, 8 years ago. I'm not sure. Based on the book, I'm not sure how closely it follows the book. Slaughterhouse 5, of course, Animal Farm, all these ones. Neuromancer could fit in. Yeah, a lot of cyberpunk, as I said, can fit into dystopia as well because of the whole. It's often it's a dystopia of exactly megacorps ruining everything and people feeling lost and alone, outcast in society, and it's kind of like being alone in a large group. Yeah. All right, Cam, anything you want to add?
No, out of these, I think Animal Farm is a must read for everyone.
Yeah, that's a must read. All right, I'm just going to pause after each slide, and you can jump in if you want.
Sure.
So, First Contact, pretty obvious, and this you can see from this picture here, it's taken from the movie Arrival, obviously. So, features first meeting between humans and aliens, or any two sentient races, and the aliens are not necessarily hostile. So, Contact by Carl Sagan, also a movie with Jodie Foster. The Three-Body Problem, which is, has the aliens contacting us. There's also some virtual reality stuff in there. The Gods Themselves by Asimov. A Mote in God's Eye. Excellent 2-novel series by Niven and Purnell, and supposedly being made into a movie, or a TV series or something, but I haven't heard anything more. There's some very interesting aliens in that one. They're very, So, Yeah, there's a
Uh,
couple of of course, Star Trek is famous for First Contact. Close Encounters of the Third Kind would definitely be put in that category for sure.
I'll add have spacesuit will travel from
Yes.
Heinlein, also another good one.
Yeah.
Again, young readers kind of thing.
Yep. E.T.
Yeah,
Tons of them.
I love ET.
Tons of them. Okay, so this one's pretty obvious. Galactic Empire. Any books with the Galactic Emperor like that? Empire like that in Star Wars. Star Wars, the most obvious one. I didn't bother to put it down. Foundation by Asimov. I was just talking about that last week. Giant Galactic Empire. Ender's Game to a certain extent. Not so much the first book, but in the future books, the human race expands out quite largely over the next sort of 3,000 years. So this not so much for well, I mean there still is a bit of an empire in that case, but not really. Grid Linked by Neil Asher. He's got a big galactic empire, human empire in there, and also there are also other competing empires as well. I've read a couple of his books. I haven't finished the whole series. I mean, he's got like 20 something books, so I got to keep digging through those. Dune, of course, another one. Okay, Michael says 3 novels. Niven or Purnell's daughter wrote a 3rd Moti book. Really? I'll have to look into that. I think I have the first 2. I wasn't aware of that. All right. Cam?
What?
Okay. Nothing. This one's pretty obvious.
Yeah, Dune. Dune. Well, just I'll mention that Dune is something we've been meaning to delve into in certain ways, but haven't had time. But a good example of a really wide-ranging galactic empire story.
I think for me though, when we haven't got to it yet, but I think Dune fits better into a different category. I mean, it's still in this category, but it fits stronger into another category. I'll mention. You'll see when we get to it. Generation Ship. Okay, let me just check the chat out. The Internote coming to Netflix. I don't know anything about that. James Casaretta doesn't like hard sci-fi. Oh, come on. Hard sci-fi is good. So next category, Generation Ship, a subgenre which a starship called a Generation Ship, which travels much slower than the light between the stars, takes thousands of years, maybe, or hundreds, or however many. The original occupants will not get to the planet. They're basically they're living on a ship in a world trying to get somewhere. Hull 03 by Greg Bear. I don't think I've read that one. I read most of Bear's stuff, but I don't remember that one. It might have been a long time ago or something. The Forever Watch. That is a newer one that I read a couple years ago, and I really, really like it. I did a review on my channel. If you're curious, you want to see it. This is the Forever Watch, and Ramirez. It's his first book, and most of the time when I read a science fiction book, I know how it's going to end, right? Like I've read so many of them, I'm like, oh, this is probably what's going to happen. I did not. I was near the end of this book. I'm like, I still don't know what's going to happen. I don't know what the twist is. I don't know what the mystery is. I don't know what the story is. So it's a great book. Highly recommend it. I won't tell you what the twister is. So off you go. Orphans in the Sky by Heinlein. Have you read that one, Cam?
No.
Okay. And that's the one where they basically take a generational ship and they go off to try to colonizing the planet. And Rendezvous with Rama, we talked about that last week or the week before. And I mean, that's where we go to a generational. That's obviously that ship is a generational ship. We go to it and explore it. And
Good.
Sorry, I got interrupted. All right. Next one, Human Development. Book in which science or nature has given humans enhanced mental or physical abilities. See also transhumanism. So Eon Eternity, that's 2 different books by Greg Bear. I quite enjoy those ones. There's lots of enhancements. People, for example, one of the characters has he wants to have a son, so he takes a piece of his own personality and puts it into a half the population lives in computers. So he puts it into a computer and into their virtual reality, and like the kid grows up. In about a year or two, he grows up to be 20, and he talks to him and stuff like that. So yeah, that's a very much And then eventually later in the novel, the kid is like, oh, I'm so and so's son. Like he transfers his consciousness into a body and then moves around and stuff. So that's kind of interesting. Climbing Olympus, I haven't read that one. And City at the End of Time by Greg Bear. I don't think I've read that one either. But
Well,
these are
elements of this are extremely important in Dune also.
Yes. But usually yeah, I mean, normally in these books they're enhanced by nanotechnology, or somehow we discover psychic abilities, or
instead of worm dropping.
Yeah, instead of they're eating worm poop. But I mean, you could technically fit it into there, but it's usually the thing about Dune is that it's very those enhanced abilities are very set on a very small group, where normally these ones are like everybody's taking nanobots, everyone's attaching some sort of computer thing to the side of their head so that they have better.
I don't know about that. There are huge swaths of humanity that are, or I mean, throughout humanity, at least in the Dune. You got the Bene Gesserit are all, super developed. The Mentats also. I mean, the Fremen are all essentially advanced humans, and then as they go on in the future,
not really the Fremen.
Sure, they are. They are super, like super soldiers essentially.
Well, they're good fighters, but that's just because of the harsh environment that they've been in. They're not really.
Well, also the spice.
Yeah, I mean, I agree, but the thing with Dune is that in Dune, the vast majority of humanity don't has access to any of that stuff, right? Like the Bene Gesserit and all these, they're small groups and they're very elite stuff. So, but I mean, you could say
maybe,
it was, for sure.
Go farther beyond the first book, though, and when humanity, they make a point of this specifically, like that Duncan is an older model. It's like, the humanity has continued to evolve essentially, and again, well, whether it's the majority or not, I don't know, but the characters in the story or the groups in the story that we look at are almost all advanced in some way.
Yeah, for sure, they are developing. Yeah. I'm just speaking that generally speaking in this category with transhumanism, it's more widely amongst all humans, but it doesn't. I mean, none of these are set in stone. I mean, these are just general categories. There's no right or wrong answer. It's not as serious as last week's, where you have to agree that those 6 books are the best, otherwise you're crazy. Yeah. Death Angel Sound is right. Some of the Gibson stuff would be in this category too. A lot of it. There's some human development there for sure. Okay. Well, I'm not going to Ringworld. I'm going to talk about it later. Yeah. Okay.
Way behind. Keep going.
Immortality. Almost halfway through. Okay, so a form of unending or infinitely long human life would take, or whether it's even possible. So altered carbon. So immortality doesn't mean just like living forever because of enhancements in your physical being. It can also be like altered carbon, where your personality can be put into different bodies, and you can achieve immortality through that. Time Enough for Love, Heinlein's whole Lazarus Long thing. They actually are long-lived and potentially live forever with various medical treatments at certain points. The World of the End of Time by Paul. I haven't read that one. The Worthing Saga by Card. I really enjoyed that. Great book. It's a collection. It's not really a collection of short stories. It is a collection of stories that happen at certain times, and there's some differences to the type of stories and stuff, so it keeps you in there, kind of like short stories would, because they're a little bit different. But excellent story, well worth reading. It's not part of the Ender universe or any of his other universes. It's not by itself, but it's good. Yeah.
Okay.
All right. Humor. Stories that explore what that are funny. That's what you should say. So the best known one, of course, this cuts a little bit here. Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy, of course, by Douglas Adams. I mean, that is the epitome of good, humorous. And I really can't find anything like. My daughter read Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy and is like, this is really great. Is there any other books like that? I go, there's no books. There's no other writer like Douglas Adams. And there isn't really. However, there's a couple that we put down here. Red Shirts by Scalise, and that is what you think it is. It is it's a sort of a parody, like the Orville is to Star Trek. It's kind of a parody of the Red Shirts. I haven't read it, but it's supposedly pretty good. You might try that. Red Dwarf. I'm sure you're aware of the TV show, Cam, right? You've heard of that?
Yeah. Yep.
I think was it British?
Yes.
It's been a while since I saw that. I guess Lex would fit in there to a certain extent. There's some humor in that. And the Adventures of the Stainless Steel Rat it's not a rat. It's not actually about a rat.
Let's not forget.
What's that, sorry?
I was going to say, let's not forget Futurama.
Futurama, yeah,
packed with jokes based on robots and all kinds of great, hilarious
Snow Crash. I don't know Snow Crash. Yeah.
All right.
Yeah, 4 books in a trilogy from Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy. Yes, all good. All right. Military. War is a solution to either interstellar or interplanetary conflict. Makes up the main or partial plot of the stories. Main characters often part of the military. So Armor by John Steckley. We've talked about that one before. Great book. Hammer Slammers by David Drake. And again, the vast majority of David Drake's stuff is all military science fiction. So if you want, he's the go-to for military science fiction for me. If you like military science fiction, Hammer Slammers or any of most of Drake's stuff. It's all military. Starship Troopers by Heinlein, Forever War Haldeman. Cam, you want to throw in a couple others in there? This is kind of the main, most well-known ones. But
no, that's a pretty good list.
Yeah, there's a fair amount. There's lots. The Mundane. So this is, I don't really like this category, but categories remain on Earth in this subgenre, and there's a believability of the use of science and technology at the time the book's written. This is a lot. Like this is like half of science fiction is in there. Like I said, like 1984, The Handmaid's Tale, Flowers for Algernon, Clockwork Orange, anything that's just a little bit, out there, not too much out there. There's not so much science fiction traveling and stuff. Could fit into science fiction and to the mundane. So it's a pretty broad category.
Just quick, Weatherman mentions Battlestar Galactica in reference to military. Oh well, and if you got that, you also have Space Above and Beyond.
Yeah. Well, for military, yeah. Like I said, there's tons of military. Yeah.
Yeah. See, we were so bored with the mundane that we went back to the other one.
Yeah. Michael's right here. Most of the Michael Crichton books are kind of these just like a tick above normal, and there's technically science fiction. So yeah, a lot of them fit in there. Yeah. Mutants. So this was a category. This is characters exhibit powers often like superheroes. Unlike human development subgenre, these powers come more naturally as opposed to via experiments or whatever. So the Marvel, the X-Men, House of X, Powers of X, obvious. Orphans in the Sky by Heinlein. Have you read that one, Cam?
No.
That one fits in there because they're traveling to another star system, and they have they communicate by telepathy. They take twins who are psychically connected. They're able to pass information back and forth because they're traveling so close to the speed of light they wouldn't be able to talk to them, etc. So that's why that one kind of fits in there. This is kind of a very small category, except for sort of superhero stuff. Yeah.
Gamma
Nanotechnology. Books that focus on tiny science, designing and producing devices, systems at the nanoscale. So Gibson, a lot of that in there. Doru is a good one. Blood Music by Greg Bear. I found that a little bit disturbing, that whole book. But yeah, it's involved. Altered Carbon, of course. Any others? I mean, nanotechnology is pretty well known. And
the Valiant Comics Bloodshot was based on nanotechnology.
mm-hmm.
The whole thing, and actually a lot, many things in the whole universe revolved around Bloodshot, as it turned out. The original Valiant I'm talking about.
Yeah, I'm sure there's tons in the that the viewers can mention.
Nope, let's go.
No one's mentioned it. All right. Near future. So take place in the present day or in the next few decades. The setting should be fairly familiar to the reader. The technology is often current or in development. So the most obvious, Ready Player One, if anyone's read the book or seen the movie by Klein, that's very much near future. Earth by David Brin, good novel. I highly recommend that one. That one's definitely near future. It was written in the 90s, and it talked about people wearing VR goggles around it, and everybody filming each other and all this stuff. Earth, it kind of predicts social media before social media happened. I read it and I was like, then a couple years later, 10, 15 years later, I'm like, wow, Brin was like seeing the future. I Robot by Asimov, Jurassic Park movies and novels. They're all basically near future. 2001: A Space Odyssey, Neuromancer by Gibson. 1984 is near future as well. Yeah, for sure. Yeah. Stargate SG-1, the X-Files. I mean, I'm not sure if the X-Files are near future, if they're more happening now. But yeah. Okay. Robots and androids. So this is more where, iRobot fits into here a little bit better. So does Do Androids Dream of Electric Sheep, Blade Runner, RUR, Star Wars has robots and androids, Battlestar Galactica, all kinds of anything with a robot in it or an android. It's like, yeah, okay.
Well, Terminator would also be this.
Terminator. Terminator fits into time travel and into robots, but yeah, it's a lot of cross genres. That's a pretty basic one, pretty easy. Yeah. Now, here's the one I was hoping to get most of your science fantasy, since you're our local fantasy expert. This subgenre presents works that use main elements of both genres, science fiction and fantasy, create a story that is futuristic and technical with fantastical subplots and characters. So McCaffrey, I think she does a whole bunch of stuff in this genre. This isn't one of my favorite genres, so I don't follow it that closely, but I think Dragonflight. I'm hoping maybe you guys in the chat can help with this. Give us a couple more. Shadowrun definitely fits in there, I believe. Yeah, that would fit.
Well, Star Wars.
Star Wars. Yeah, Star Wars could fit. Yeah, the Force is. You could say it's magic. Saga, which is a comic book that has everybody's traveling. It's pretty weird. People are traveling around the universe, and there's lots of technology, but there's also some magic and weird stuff going around. Solo by Peter McGraw. Is that are you saying that fits in science fantasy there, Weatherman? I haven't read. Have not read Solo.
Camelot 3000 was a comic from DC.
Mm-hmm.
It was basically, King Arthur in the year 3000.
Yeah. Yeah. Shadowrun mixes cyberpunk and fantasy. Age of Magic returns to the cyberpunk rule. That is a perfect. I should have put it in there. It fits right in there. Shadowrun.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Space exploration. Any story that touches upon the act of exploring space, including politics, science, engineering behind spaceflight. Ringworld by Larry Niven, because they explore the Ringworld. Startide Rising by Bryn. Rendezvous with Rama, again, they're exploring the generational ship. Cibola Burn by Corey. That's one of the Expanse novels, and that's the one, I think it's the third or fourth one. It's where the proto what do they call it, proto matter opens up the makes this sphere and attaches to all the 1300 other worlds. So people then humans start going exploring. So yeah, so that's why that one would be included in that. Yeah. Okay, space opera. So now this is where I think that Dune fits in a little bit better, because it's kind of a very operatic, very big, lots of drama, like it says here. Usually set in outer space, far-flung planets, adventurous books that are emphasize space, drama, interplanetary battles, romance, large stakes, that kind of thing. So I if I had to put things in a category, I'd say that Dune fits better into here than the other ones, but it's not.
We should probably do an episode discussing space opera, because it seems it might be too broadly defined. Because, for example, yeah, because I don't know. I mean, Star Trek is called space opera. Battlestar Galactica is. Dune is. These don't feel like similar genres to me.
Big galactic things going on, really?
Yeah, like I said, that's too broad. So mark that down. We should get into that. We should delve into
that. Nine Fox Gambit by Lee. That's an interesting one. I just I read it's a 3-book series. I picked up the first book again because I think I want to talk about it next week when it comes to weird settings, because it's kind of a weird setting. But yeah, that's an interesting one that would maybe fit. Foundation, The Expanse to some certain extent, because it's got politics and all that stuff in there. But Cam disagrees, though. Maybe that doesn't.
I mean, well, I'm just saying, so many different things would fall into this.
Yeah. Well, to me, it's got that big sort of the galactic look, and there's usually a lot of all the various aspects to the story. Like I said, like politics, some sort of interplanetary battles, romance, all that stuff, as opposed to focusing on one character that just does. It's got all that, lots of characters, that kind of thing. But yeah, you can agree to disagree. I don't agree to that. Steampunk. Okay, so a subgenre focuses on steam powered technology, kind of like cyberpunk is focused on cyber technology.
So retro sci-fi.
It's usually more focused on. I mean, it's not really retro. It's more focused on the science. The definition I'm reading here is in the science steampunk. It's more focused on how it works as opposed to the fantasy one we don't care about that much. Bone Shaker by Priest. I haven't read that one. Mortal Engines by Reeve. There's a movie out like that, or by called Mortal Engines. I don't know if people have seen it. The Difference Engine, I think I mentioned it before, by Gibson. I haven't read it myself either, but I'm gonna have to read that one. I've read most of Gibson's stuff. I mean, I think steampunk's pretty straightforward, right? Technology based on sort of the steam power type 1850s, 1860s stuff. I'm not into it that much either, to be honest, Weatherman. It's not one of my favorites. But,
well, I think steampunk is really cool as far as I'm concerned.
Yeah, it's cool.
It's got this, the crafting stuff with it, but if you want to talk about a gang of absolute up their own ass idiots, is if you want to find that, look into the steampunk community. And I don't, anybody who likes steampunk, I'm not referring to just anybody who likes steampunk. I just said I like it myself. But my God, these people are absolute idiots. So it kind of turned me off. Oh, wait, sorry. I meant to say that they are all brave and courageous and very skilled.
I love them all.
Yep.
Would Herbert's Whipping Star fit into the space opera category? I've read Whipping Star, but for the love of me, I can't remember anything about it. Jeez, I read it so long ago. I'll have to look into it. I'm sure I have a copy around here somewhere. Yeah, it's bad. Next category, terraforming, and we're getting close. This is get like this four or five more slides. Terraforming, books about modifying the planet or moon so it's more habitable. Ring World, I mean, I put it in there, but it's kind of like it's already terraformed, though it's kind of things are falling apart. They do fix its rotation so it doesn't screw up. Building Harlequin's Moon, that's probably a good example. Farm in the Sky, Red Mars, Dune. They terraform. They eventually terraform Arrakis, so it could fit into there. Time travel. This is pretty obvious. Moving between different times or universes. A Wrinkle in Time. End of Eternity by Asimov. This is one of my favorite novels by Asimov because people don't know much about it, and it ties his two universes. It ties his Foundation series and his Robot series kind of together. Oh no, sorry, that's not true. What it does is it starts his Foundation series, I think. Yeah, Doctor Who, of course. Time travel. The Time Machine by H.G. Wells. Time Enough for Love, Heinlein. That one is they're immortal, but they're also traveling through time. They're messing with time a bit. So yeah, I mean, time. It's pretty basic. I don't think I need to explain this one too much. Everyone knows what time travel is.
Yep.
Uplift. When an advanced civilization helps the development of another one by giving a non-sentient species spacefaring capabilities or some other help. So this is David Brin. I think he's the guy who started this genre with his series like The Uplift War, Startide Rising, the whole thing. I don't know of anybody else who has ever proposed this sort of thing. He's the first guy to propose it. And I had, searching around, I had trouble finding any other books that talk about this, with the exception of the story Childhood's End by Arthur C. Clarke, which is another one of my favorite Clarke novels. And yeah, it's about it's kind of an alien. It's not, well, an alien. Aliens come to Earth, and they like say, "Hey, you guys are kind of screwing things up. We're kind of, we'll leave you alone, but we're gonna, take control of your global events so you don't, blow yourself up or kill yourselves or whatever." Well, they call them the Overlords, and it goes from there. And there's quite a twist towards it. I don't want to, and they're not really uplifting us. They're kind of supervising as we become uplifted. Yeah, it's a great book. Everyone should read it. Childhood's End, great story.
Well, 2001 has very much the same background theme as well. The kind of pre-human, pre-Homo sapien.
Yes.
Are affected by the monolith aliens. And
would you call that one human development or uplift? Uplift is usually
I mean, I'd say uplift by this because again, it's very clear that they, they were basically animals, and with the interaction with this thing, they took a step up in evolution. It was
because the monolith made some weird noises on them and made them. So the thing with Bryn is in his uplifting, what happens is that an advanced species will come and will take like in the story, humans uplift. You see, this picture is taken from Star Tide Rising. Humans actually uplift dolphins. We genetically engineer them to be smarter and more intelligent, and teach them and actually act as parents. And we do that to two other species as well in the book, to monkeys and to gorillas. So it's in his idea of uplift. It's much more of a hands-on approach. It's not like a monolith falls from the sky and they look at it and somehow they become smarter.
Well, if you read the book, they go into it a lot more, and they follow Moon Gazer, I think his name was, this again, and they talk about, it's like kind of the narration of it is like, describes how it's like he would have this thought if he was sophisticated enough to have it, but it's so they're not quite even thinking, and then they are. Because of that interaction. So I think it is more direct than you're saying.
All right. Yeah.
Weatherman mentioned Prometheus, which are you talking about the movie, the aliens,
the aliens movie? Maybe,
because that is they basically created biologically seeded us completely, I think.
Yeah. Okay, Michael's talking here. I'm just going to go through the chat real quick. Mike is talking about Octavia Butler's books are upland adjacent. They deal with the after effects of humans having been uplifted. That would be interesting. I'm going to have to look into those. I've never read any of her stuff. Is the monolith a smartphone? Planet of the Apes. I don't think we uplift the apes, but somehow they got uplifted. And it's supposedly only like 1,000 years later, so it's kind of suspect, but yeah. The Space Odyssey series, 2001 is a series. 2001, 2010, they're all fit together. Yeah, all right. I think that's all. All right, second last slide. Utopia, pretty obvious, like a dystopia, but nothing has gone awry. Everything's still perfect. Men Like Gods by H.G. Wells. Station 11. This one came up a lot in my research. I haven't read it. I'm going to have to check it out. It's a lot of people talking a lot about it. The Dispossessed. I've read some of Le Guin's work. I read the précis for this one. It sounds interesting. This guy is he's on a planet, and they're kind of in the universe, and they are kept out of the rest of the civilized planets, and he decides to go to their home world and find out why, and try to maybe, I guess, change the society so that they can become part of everybody. It sounds like an interesting concept, but I haven't read it either. So yeah, I mean, utopias are a little bit boring, to be honest. Dystopias are much more interesting. Yeah, in my view.
All right.
And of course, last but not least, virtual reality, which we are all experience. Some of us can experience it now on Steam or with virtual reality goggles. Any book that virtual reality plays an integral part of the plot and their setting. Ready Player One would be a very obvious example that most people have probably seen or heard of, either read the book or seen the movie. Neuromancer, of course, again, and that's where we sort of the start of it. The Three-Body Problem. If you've read it, you know that it's integral to the first part of the book when they're trying to trick us and find out stuff about us. And of course, The Matrix, right? Pretty obvious. Any others, Cam, you want to throw in there?
Well, this is a little bit of a extension, but Battlestar Galactica, the Caprica series, dealt a lot with virtual reality worlds, and it was it's all prequel stuff, and it was inherent to how it led into the Cylons.
Really, I watched some of that, but I didn't see the whole thing. I kind of lost interest, but that's
it didn't last very long, so it didn't quite go. But some of it was kind of interesting concept.
And of course, Michael mentioned Snow Crash again. So if he says it enough, we're going to have to go. All right. So that is all the various 30 or so common sci-fi stories. I don't think we missed any. And again, like I said, it's not, we did it mainly for fun, looking at various books, hopefully gave people some idea of books or movies they might want to see to fit in there. And it wasn't exhaustive by any means. Matrix 13th Floor, yeah, that's a movie, right? And I forget the details of that one. I've heard of it. I haven't seen it, though. So, hopefully we've helped you out. You'll find recognize your favorite genre and go, hey, I can look into that and find more stuff in that genre that I like. Yeah. Cam, you got any closing? That's pretty much all I had for the show. You got any closing thoughts or any comments on what we talked about?
No,
recommendations.
My mind just started, but my mind just started wandering to when we talked about the space opera thing, and then back to is it sci-fi? And I was just going to say, if anyone, maybe we would like to solicit suggestions for an is it sci-fi, since we haven't done that for a while.
Yeah, it's true. We haven't. All right. How do you want to? People can throw it in the chat, or they can throw it in the chat now, or into the comments later. So we want to do another episode of Is It Sci-Fi?
Mm-hmm.
And so if someone has a series or a what do you want to say? Television series, movie, novel series, anything that is kind of
not Snow Crash, though.
Not Snow Crash. It's kind of got to be on the edge, right?
Yeah.
If you come into me,
if it's obvious, if it's like 2001, well, yes.
Yeah. If you come to me and say, "Is Starship Troopers sci-fi?" It's gonna be like,
okay.
Yeah.
Weatherman says Buck Rogers and Flash Gordon, which this is something that we've touched on a little bit in the past, and I would be very happy to discuss those. Don't say it. Don't say. I know what you're going to say, but
what am I going to say?
You're going to say that it's pulp adventure. It's not sci-fi, but
no, I wasn't. I was actually going to say. I mean, to me, they are science fiction.
Weatherman, are you not my long lost brother or something? Because you seem to like all the same things that I do.
To me, it's obvious that Buck Rogers and Flash Gordon are science fiction. Now, they are of a style of science fiction which is kind of more of a Western sort of style, right? Where it's kind of, Western with sci-fi trappings. I'd still say it's science fiction, but it's not, it's not Heinlein or Asimov or Clark or any of those guys. It's kind of,
right.
It's like the original Star Trek, right? The original Star Trek is not really. I mean, it's science. It's really, what was the original Star Trek called? Wagon Train to the Stars. It's basically a Western with the veneer of science fiction over it, right? Every week they go to a different town. It's a planet, and they have some sort of adventure, and still science fiction. Still science fiction, but
okay. So I wonder if that's been overused. You know what I'm saying? It's like, Wagon Train to the Stars. It's a sci-fi. It's like, is it really, or was that just a pitch that's hung on for and been overemphasized for too long? That could be another whole debate at some point, I suppose.
Well, I mean, would you not say that Star Trek, the original, has a lot of the same things that Westerns did in the 40s and 50s and stuff? The traveling.
Maybe you could do that, and then you could list as many or more things that don't match. It's we have a tendency, and I'm not saying this is bad, to say, oh, this and this match, so they must be the same. It's like, well, do you look at the other side? How many things don't match? So that's why it's an interesting thing to debate, I guess.
Yeah, I'm definitely gonna, with Flash Gordon, I'm definitely gonna, like, that's very much Western. It's like it's very, very soft science. There's no heart. Like, Oh,
Well,
get in the ship and go to point A to point B. Okay,
okay.
we're
Well,
there.
I would argue that it's more fantasy then.
Oh, okay. Well, like
So,
I'm
well, okay,
I'm
okay.
saying it's less science fiction than others.
Wait, but we're not having this debate now. This is for you know. Maybe we should do it. Maybe we could do.
I have been shushed.
Right. It's just as I said, I get to regulate your hateful speech at any time.
That's not hateful.
If you
Wait,
hate science fantasy,
I don't hate.
listen to me for once.
I got shushed.
Maybe we can do a show that's a little broader and where we're kind of discussing these different genres and where they cross and things like that. Because we've talked about a few of them. The space opera, now we're talking about fantasy and pulp western stuff and how they come in.
Hmm.
Um, I don't know. Maybe there's something of a show to be made there.
Yeah, Firefly's aspects of that too. That's kind of but I'd say less so. But anyway, all right. I think, to be honest, I think we should make it more of a roundtable discussion. We should get a few more, 3, 4, 5 people in there and let them, hash it out a little bit as opposed to just you and me hashing it out. Might be good for a little bit of change.
Yeah, well, yeah, it wouldn't be bad to get someone else in the mix to discuss things. Because honestly, I'm tired of your face.
Your face? You haven't even seen my face.
That's not your face right there.
No.
Oh well, that it looks just like your face.
It's not. It's not a picture of me, but I look exactly like that. But
Exactly right.
Okay.
And
I guess
same as my
That's a good
avatar.
point.
I look just like that.
All right. Well, since we're picking on each other, I had a buddy of mine.
You have friends?
Yeah, I do, and he was saying he knows me in real life, and he watches the show sometimes, and he said, he says we were talking about you, and he said, he goes, I've just so the audience knows, I've never seen Cam in person. I don't know what he looks like. I have no idea. I've never met him in person. He's never sent me a picture of himself. I have no idea what he looks like. He could be a girl, as far as I know. I don't know, but he was just guessing he was guessing what you look like based like a bit on a celebrity. What celebrity do you think Cam most looks like? So I think, and he gave an answer, and I'm not going to share it with you because I think it's interesting, but I would like to put it out to the audience. What, based on, what you know of Cam, his voice, how he talks, everything, what celebrity do you think Cam probably looks most like?
This is a little bit funny because there was this guy in high school that I knew and he swore up and down that I looked like a I won't say who it is, but a particular celebrity at that time. I mean, like multiple times you run into me and say, God, you look just like blank.
So and so. All right. So I'm gonna, maybe if we get enough, I can do a poll. If we get enough of think about it, loyal viewers, and tell me, right in the comments or whatever, who do you think Cam most looks like? And then we can maybe make a poll out of it, get a bunch of different answers, get the most logical or the ones that most people think, put them together and say, because I mean, he told me who he thinks you look like, and I'm like, I mean, I'm not gonna say you're wrong, but I don't really see it. But he thought a certain. I'm like, I'm not sure what I think. I don't think I have my own. James Spader. We got James Spader. There's one. All right. Cam won't tell us. Yeah. All right. So maybe we'll do that in the future. That'll be interesting. I don't know if we'll ever find out the truth, but yeah. Kevin Spacey, James Spader, Selena Gomez. Wait, no.
All right, let's wrap it up.
All right, let's wrap it up. All right, Cam wants to wrap it up. He's like, let's get out. I don't want to talk about this anymore. All right. Okay, so that's it for the show. Like I said, this was like a relaxed thing. We just wanted to talk about the different types. It's lots of all kinds of stories have aspects of these. It's not right or wrong. Bruce Jenner.
Hey, you know what we need before we go is to talk about Wednesday's Babylon 5 show.
We need to mention it. That's for sure.
Yes.
Okay. Well, you want to talk about it? Go ahead.
Yeah. Hey, every Wednesday at 11 p.m. Eastern, we have a retrospective of every episode of Babylon 5, one after the other. This coming week, we are going to be, what is it, episode Mind War? Is that?
Mind War, episode
Yep.
6, I think.
Yep.
Mind War.
Show's been going pretty good. We appreciate everyone who has come in. And if you'd like to tell your friends about it or about this show, that'd be great. And also, since we're supposed to be YouTubers, you got to say like and subscribe. And I noticed that it says you have 545 subscribers. So
What?
a few more
I do.
every week. It looks like here. This is
Oh,
how
I
things
haven't
are
been
supposed to be
checking.
going. Yeah,
That's 6 more than like last week. Oh, that's
yeah,
good. That's awesome.
Great. Yeah,
Excellent. Maybe we will hit our thousand subscribers by July, and then I can start getting that sweet YouTube bucks and spending them on cocaine and whores. Woohoo! Wow. Finally,
there goes your channel.
Whoops! Oh, scratch that. Okay, so yeah. Oh, and just everyone, just so you know, this Wednesday, Jason is not going to be there. He can't make it. He's got some family things he's got to deal with, and he's traveling for family stuff, so he won't be there. So if again we've made this before. Nobody has come out of the woodwork and said, "Hey, I want to be on the show and I want to talk about this episode or anything." So if it'll be myself, Cam, and Death Angel Shadow for sure out there, and if someone else wants to come in, if there's somebody in the chat or whatever who wants to join the show, talk about this episode, hey, let us know. And you're pretty much guaranteed to get in there. You don't have to, there's no test or nothing. Yeah, prayers for Uncle Kenny. Yes, we hope Uncle Kenny's better. Yeah. And so if you want to come in, hey, let us know and we'll let you come in and stuff. Yeah, you can give your 2 cents on the episode. Yeah. All right.
Yeah, and hey, we'd
love to have you.
Yes, absolutely. And we need jokes.
What jokes? Oh,
yeah. See how I turned the tables on you? I actually asked
James says, "Can I talk about my book? Do you have a book? You have a book?" Well, I got to tell you, I mean, James, I pretty much let Jason plug his show at the end of every show, so I don't see why I wouldn't.
Oh, you let him? How generous of you.
Well, he would do it anyway, but
please, these are our.
I have to say I let him because he would say it anyway. Of course. So I mean, you can't talk about your book for the whole show. No, because it's about.
No, but there could certainly be of
course,
be a courtesy extended to guests.
Of course, we would normally do that for our guests. Of course. All right. So I've got. That's it for the show. We're gonna end the show. We got to do jokes. Cam wants a joke.
Yeah, I can't wait.
I got 2 jokes.
Not 3.
I'll save the better ones for. No, this was pretty tough. It's getting harder to find quality jokes. Some of them are really, really bad, even bad for me. All right, I'll save the best one for last. Okay, so the first one. What's an alien's favorite type of music, Cam?
Alien's favorite type of music? I don't know.
Neptunes. Get it? Because Neptune is a planet, so it's Neptunes.
Yep.
Get it?
Sure do. It's hilarious. Let's hit that second one. I'm sure it'll be better.
I hope so. How does the moon cut its hair?
How does the moon cut its hair? I don't know.
Eclipse it.
That is hilarious.
Get it? Eclipse or eclipse it?
I love it.
Like in a British accent.
That is one of the best jokes I've ever heard, and it's brightened my week.
Right on. You see? Now you can survive till next week. I thought that was a good one. I like that one. Eclipse it. Save it. Use it as dad joke. Use it on your kids or nieces and nephews or whoever you want there. People in the chat. That's a good one. Hammer them. All right. That's it. I thought it was in phases. Oh, that's not bad. No, it's good. Mine's better. Yeah. I hope
you know what? You could have said a phase, like a fade.
a fade, like a phase. No, this is better.
Yeah.
Don't criticize the jokes afterwards and try to come up with better ones. Do that on your own time. Jeez.
Hates
Ryan
me.
Reynolds. Is that what you're saying that Cam looks like? Oh, he's not that pretty, surely.
Never know.
Well, maybe he is. I don't know. Okay, so that's it for the show. Thanks everybody for showing up. Come next on Wednesday, Babylon 5 Mind War, and then next week we've already got our topic for next week for this show. We're going to be doing weird settings or environments in science fiction. I've been working on a few. I got a couple good book suggestions, and then the next Toplofty Lounge after that, we're looking at doing a movie. Movie time coming up again. We haven't picked a movie. We need to make sure that Cam, I think we should agree on this. We should have a movie that is like on the internet that everybody can watch, right? Like it's on YouTube or somewhere like that. Hopefully, preferably. Yes? No? Maybe so? You don't agree?
I'm not sure what you're talking about.
For movie, remember we talked about we're going to do a movie review again, like we do. Remember Megaforce?
Yeah, I remember that.
Yeah. Those movies. We're going to do one coming up. So we try to find one that everybody can watch. You can just hopefully see it on YouTube or somewhere.
Yeah,
you don't have
not like Logan's Run.
Yeah, like Logan's Run. Exactly. Well, Logan's Run wasn't.
I mean, it was very hard to find.
Yes. I mean, but yeah. All right. Okay. That's it. Thanks, everybody. We shall see you on Wednesday. Good night.
Good night.